Okay, part 2 starts at number 28 of the review. So here I'm finding the area of the shaded region, and the shaded region is this area right here, and it's a sector. So the area of a sector, and this formula is on your formula sheet, is pi r squared, the area of the circle, times theta divided by 360. So this is the part of the circle that I'm talking about. And that is this part of the circle that I'm talking about. So I want that 160-degree angle. So this ends up being pi times 10 squared times theta divided by 360. And so the area of the sector is 139.6 inches squared when I plug it into the calculator. The next one, shaded area again, and notice I have the measure of the arc is 60 degrees. Well, the measure of the arc is the same degrees as the measure of the central angle. So I'm plugging it into my formula again. Pi times r squared times 60 divided by 360. And when I do that, my answer is 33.5 inches squared. The next ones have to do with arc length. So this one, I'm saying arc length, and that's equal to 2 pi r, which is the arc length, theta divided by 360. So here again, I'm looking for the part of the circle I'm talking about. So I do 2 pi times radius is 6 times the 135 degrees, because that's the part I'm talking about, divided by 360 is 14.1 inches. The next one, number 31. I use the same formula, so I do 2 pi, r is 12, theta is 150 because I'm talking about this arc right here, divided by 360. And when I plug that into my calculator, it's 31.4 yards. Now, please, if I make a mistake or you have a question, come to me on Monday and we'll talk about it. Okay? Here, I have the slant height, but I need the height of my cone to solve for the volume of the cone, and that is pi r squared times h divided by 3. So I have to use the Pythagorean theorem to solve for my h. And this would be slant height is 7, my radius over here is 2. So it's 2 squared plus h squared is equal to 7 squared. So it ends up being h squared is equal to 45, and h is equal to the square root of 45, which happens to be 6.7. So h is equal to 6.7. And so then from there, I plug it into my formula. Pi times 2 squared times 6.7 divided by 3. And then the volume is 28.1 meters cubed. So that is your final answer. Same thing you do for this one. You use the same formula, except for I know the height this time. So this is height, this is radius. So pi times 3 squared times 6 divided by 3. And when I plug that into my calculator, it's equal to 56.5 yards cubed. Now, converting degrees to radians. This is where we used the conversion of 180 degrees is equal to pi. And that was something that you had to remember. Just like you have to remember that a whole circle is 360. So, you're either, when you are multiplying these out to convert them, you're either multiplying by pi over 180 or 180 over pi. And in this case, to convert degrees to radians, you multiply by pi over 180. Now, I need to simplify this fraction. So I have 80 pi over 180 pi, or over 180. So I use the ladder method, or the upside down birthday cake, to do this. So I put in 80 and 180, and I'm going to divide by 10, it's a common factor. And then my next one is 2, and I'm left with my simplified version is 2 pi over 9. So that is my degree, or that's my angle measure in radians. Do the same thing here, multiply by pi over 180, it's equal to 36 pi over 180. Whenever I do the upside down birthday cake, I have 36 and 180, I divide out a 9, 4 and 20, divide out a 4, 1 and 5, so I'm left with pi over 5. The next one, I want to convert from radians to degrees. So in this case, I want to eliminate my pi. So I multiply by 180 over pi. And then when I do that, the pi's cancel out, and I'm left with 120 degrees. And here, the same thing, I multiply it by pi of O by 180 over pi. It's very easy to multiply it by the wrong thing. That's why you need to always make sure your units cancel out. And when I multiply that, it's 3,600 degrees. Moving on along to 36. This is where it's divided into, a circle is divided into 8 equal sections. And this is nice when this happens because each of the sections has the equal area and the equal arc length. So instead of having to multiply it by theta divided by 360, I can just to find one section, divide it by 8. So in that case, I'm going to go ahead and find the area of a section. So area of a sector. So I'm going to find the area of the circle. So pi times 6 squared. And then I'm going to different. So pi squared. And that is 6 divided by 8. My section answer, 36 pi. So then the circumference I have pi divided by 8. Here, no diameter is divided by 8. And so it's to 37 rounded to 10. Now, round here, squared. Okay, the area of one. The answer would be to use the formula. So this is 14.1 feet squared. Now, what's the length of AC? Now, AC is 3 sections. So here, I know that one section, so I have 12, one section is, the whole thing, circumference is 37.7, but I have to divide that by 8, so each individual one is 4.7 feet. So I have 4.7 feet times 3 sections, so 14.7 times 3, and so that would be 44.1 feet. And then to find the length of ABC, I can multiply it by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections. So I have 4.7 times 5, and that's going to equal, I think this is wrong here, 4.7 times 3. That is 14.1 feet. And you try to, so 0.75, and that's going to be 23 feet. There was a couple to solve that, to come up with. Okay, dilate of 3 or 4. What is of its circle A prime? Originally it was 3. And the new diameter of A prime is 12. So, and then radius is D divided by 2 is radius. So 12 to 2 is, so my radius. It says what is the circle? So I'm using my diameter of 3 feet. Oh, 3 feet, yes. So it becomes 3 pi is my circumference, and then my circle A prime is going to be 12 pi. Then it says find the ratio of the circumference, circumference to the diameter. So I have 3 pi is my circumference divided by 3. So my ratio is pi. Here I have 12 pi divided by 12. My ratio is pi. And I noticed that the ratio always of circles, of the circumference divided by the diameter, will always be pi. Always. Okay? And that's really how they discovered what pi was equal to. The next one, it says, find the volume of 2 cylinders below. What do you notice? This is Cavalieri's principle. And so it doesn't matter whether it leans or it's straight up and down. If I have the height that is perpendicular to the base, then it's still the same. So the volume is both pi r times 8. Volume is equal to pi squared 10 radius times. Plug that here, it's 942 cubed both cylinders. Next ones will go on to the third page here. Based on the answers from that's true about all of these same area, all their volume, all volume are equal. Okay, really take these 2 or 3 actually. When I take out these that are there, that would be form a sphere, a whole sphere, because 2 halves together make a whole. So I'm going to find the volume of a sphere. And that formula is 4 pi r cubed divided by 3. And then I'm going to find the volume of a cylinder. And then when I find both of those volumes, I can just add them together. And so the volume of the sphere, when I enter it into the calculator, is just 33.5 feet cubed. And I'm going to add in the 62.8 feet cubed that my volume of the cylinder will be. And so the volume of my composite figure of this tank is 96.3 feet cubed because I add them together. Now, The next one is an ice cream cone. So basically it's a sphere divided by 2. So volume of the half of a sphere, so a hemisphere, half of a sphere is equal to 4 times pi times r cubed, 3, and then multiply it by cone, 2 pi r squared h. To plug all this in, I find 56 centimeters cubed sphere. The volume of mine is 100.5 centimeters cubed, and then 1 of the 2 together of all is equal to 9 centimeters cubed. Now, number 4, I love, really has to do with the of a cone, pi r h to 3, volume of cylinder, 2 formulas, squared h. Look at this, and the cone, 12 pi, the volume 12 pi. You can see it's going to take 3 of them to be the volume of the cylinder with the same diameter and the same height. So I take the volume of the cone and I multiply it by 3, and it's 36 pi. And it works every time. If I'm given the cylinder and I'm asked to find the cone, these 2 formulas are exactly the same. I just divide it by 3. And that's the end of the second.